there, I'm back. Had a month off. I was working, so that's one reason. Only part-time, so not really an excuse. But I've been watching lots and lots of films still. I'll probably have to do a part 1 and part 2 because there's so many that I need to get through. So many amazing films that I've seen this month, January. And my only thing that's changed really for me is my algorithm has completely gone out the window. It wasn't working. I want to watch films that I want to watch, and without having to have some kind of algorithm that tells me when to watch and how to watch, so stuff, all that rubbish. So I'm just going to be watching films based on whatever takes my fancy. When I'm buying a film, maybe try and watch it straight away rather than waiting until it pops up my algorithm. All very sad, all very silly, but it worked for me for a year or so. But stuff that for Game of Soldiers, I'm going to go back to watching whatever I want to watch whenever I want to watch it. This year I'm going to have a couple of what I call film odysseys. I had Pedro Almodovar last year, and Tetsuya Nakashima as well, although I've still got a few more of his films to watch. There were other directors, I'm sure, but this year, for starters, I want to go with Sofia Coppola. I need to rewatch her films because she is one of my favourite directors, and I still think about Virgin Suicides and The Bling Ring, and have her on a regular basis. No particular reason, but I just really love her work. And I saw it on The Rocks recently as well, which reminded me how amazing she is. And also going to get into Shion Sono properly. I did start his couple of his films last year. Tag, I saw, and Coldfish. Mind-blowing, crazy guy, but wonderful stuff. So I'm going to continue with a Shion Sono Odyssey. And the other thing I'm going to try and fit in is some French New Wave films, because I love French cinema. Well, I used to love French cinema, and I need to reacquaint myself with the Frenchies. So I'm going to try that as well. But I did think about changing the format. I was going to do videos on particular channels like Mubi and Prime Video and that kind of stuff. I was going to do directors, I was going to do genres, but I thought, no, I'm just going to continue what I'm doing. It's a watchlist journey. You join me on it and you can discover new films. Some will be brand new films. Some will be films that I should have watched that I haven't got around to, which is a lot of going to be on this video. So yeah, that's pretty much where we'll be going from here on forward in 2021. And once again, I just want to thank you guys for supporting this channel and listening and coming with me on this journey, and let's see where it takes us. So the first film I saw this year, apart from Soul, which was, I watched it, it was okay, it was pretty good, but I'm not gonna talk about films that I've seen that were good, but I'm not a lot to talk about or to discuss. But I'm going to concentrate on films that I watched and they really made me think, I really want to talk about and get out of my system. The first film I saw was a film by Roy Andersson, Swedish director, a film called About Endlessness, made in 2019, streaming on Mubi, and the image of a couple flying through the air like angels got me interested, and I kind of thought, this just looks interesting and kind of my cup of tea. And to a point, the film was my cup of tea. It's like a series of vignettes, cinema poems, so lots of static cameras, lots of stories laid out with not really a lot of drama, a lot of action, not a lot of a lot going on. The sort of talking about showing you mundane things like there's a beautiful sequence with some young girls just dancing outside a cafe. That was it, but it was beautiful. It made me, I just loved it. It was just gorgeous to look at. Not the girls, of course, but the fact that they were just these girls dancing outside a cafe, and that was it. That was just incredible. So lots of static shots, big wide frames, and the film, I think, is just celebrating the beauty of the mundane and existentialism, a big word. That's my take on it anyway, and I think it's one of those films that you can spend time studying. Check out the rest of the guys' work properly, But yeah, I would thoroughly recommend it if you like films that are unique and are beautiful and poetic. It's that kind of film, and it sounds great, about endlessness. It kind of sounds pretentious and beautiful, and yeah, and it's definitely one that I would watch again as well. So hopefully going to get the physical release of it. Second film that I saw was a film by a guy called David Zellner, an American, who made a film called Kumiko-Treasure Hunter, made in 2014. It was the first film that I've seen of him. It was recommended by a good friend of mine, Carl, who does the channel Into The Blu. It was one of his top fives. I can't remember which one. But it, wow, blew me away, this movie. I got it on Cinema Paradiso rental, kind of a try before you buy. Definitely going to buy it if I can find it at a good price. Wonderful, heartbreaking film about despair and loneliness, and the absurdity of the movie is incredible. It's about a woman who, a Japanese woman who watches the film Fargo thinking it's a documentary and goes off into trying to find the buried treasure. It's completely absurd, but it's basically a study of isolation, loneliness, and the mental illness that goes with that. It is based on a true story as well, which makes it all the more heartbreaking. The main character doesn't really receive any empathy with anyone apart from a policeman that she comes upon. And he says this incredible line in the movie. He said, I want to help you, I just got to figure out how. And that I just found that really got to me, because I thought, how many times do we see people who are in a really difficult situation in their lives and you want to help them but you just don't know how? And I just found that really resonated with me. And I think it's a film that just really, it's just a lot. Again, I say it's a lot, but a lot going on with the movie. A movie you're going to watch, and it's dramatic. It's a good story. You know, the acting is great. The cinematography is great. The soundtrack was excellent, etc., etc. So you know you're going to revisit it. And it's a film that I would never have heard of if it wasn't for the recommendation by a friend. It's just one of those movies that doesn't really pop up anywhere. So it was just great, so great to discover a film that you wouldn't normally have via the film community. So, I'd thoroughly recommend if you can try and check it out. Kumiko-Treasure Hunter from 2014. Okay, so the next film I saw was on Mubi again. Love Mubi. You can just browse Mubi and you'll find a film to watch. Amazing. 2019, made by a guy called Tyler Taormina. I think I pronounced that correctly. He's a writer, he's a director, he's a musician. He's a very, very clever guy, because he has made a film called Ham on Rye, which completely blew my mind. And I think it could be my film of the year 2021 already. When I first saw Emma, had the same effect. You watch the film and I thought, this is it. This film, for me personally, I knew it wasn't going to be one that was going to be on everyone's top 10, but absolutely perfect. The reason being, for me personally, is because it was a film that was, for starters, sparklingly original. It's not even really a sentence, is it? Wildly original, unique, very different, quirky, crazy, all of that stuff. And I love when you see a film like. But it did have elements of three films that I love: Virgin Suicides, Blue Velvet, and Greener Grass. So even though within its own kind of boundaries of originality, it was also taking elements of other films that I personally love. So it's the music on its own, a little bit like Virgin Suicides. The music alone was enough for make it like at least a 4-star film to me. And then the cinematography added to that. The performances by the young cast is very, very confident. I think that's the word I would use. They're like they know they're a part of something amazing, and they're just like, it's almost like, you know, we're making an amazing film, and you need to watch this. You need to watch us in action. I don't know. The film had two halves. The second half is harder to take than the first half, and I must admit, I mean, the film, I think, is all about conformity and isolation. That's how I saw it. People who left on the fringes of society. And it's coming of age film. Again, I never talk about plot in my little mini reviews. I hope that's okay, because I think it spoils it for me if someone talks about what the film's the plot. I prefer it to just going completely blind and then be blown away. So hopefully if you can watch this, the same effect. But it's one of those films that you watch and you can just bathe yourself in the imagery and the music and the tone of the film. It's beautifully awkward and surreal and all the elements of film that I love. And after I watched it, I thought to myself, this is going to be one of those movies that, you know, I'm going to love and not everyone will love. And that's just my little film that I'm going to, you know, for me, it's not made for me personally. I know that's not right. I know that's crazy. This guy's a young guy. He did not think about 55-year-old David Clayton living in Essex when he made this film. But I felt so exhilarated watching this film and disorientated and in love with it at the end of it that I am not doing it justice. And this is completely off the top of my head, this review, and I apologise for that. But all I can say is that I love this movie with a real passion. The other thing about this film is you don't know what time period you're in. A little bit like the film It Follows, if you remember that horror movie from a few years ago. That, again, are we in the 70s, 80s, 90s? We're not sure with this film either. And that's what I also loved about the fact that as the film unfolds, you're never sure what time period you're in. And you're also not sure what's, for a good part of the movie, you could argue for the whole of the movie, you don't really know what is going on and why. And I love that about this film. I love that about any film that can do that. And you know, and people will get different things out of this film, and I will get something new out of it when I watch it again, and when I study it, I'll get different perspectives. Absolutely love that. So yeah, Ham on Rye. I mean, you know, one of my favourite films I've seen for a very, very, very long time. And I now need to redo my top films of 2019, which is really annoying. But no, I never heard of it. Just popped up on Mubi, looked at the synopsis and thought, this sounds interesting. And then bang, there it was. Virgin Suicides meets Blue Velvet meets Greener Grass equals David Clayton loves it. Then back to back, I pretty much watched another film on Mubi. Icelandic film this time. Watched A White Day a few weeks ago. That was a really good Icelandic film. This one is directed by Hafstein Gunnar Sigurðsson. This is the third film apparently. First one I've seen though. A film called Under the Tree from 2017. This is a film about a neighbourhood dispute that goes a little bit awry, to say the least. It is a film that you kind of know what's going to happen. You know, it's going to get deeper and darker, and it's kind of a film of two parts really: a depiction of neighbourly hostilities, and also of broken relationships. It's also a film that made me really think how easy it is for wars to start. You know, and I know it's obvious, but you remind yourself, you know, everyone's like, you know, I don't understand why people go to war. I think war's terrible. I hate war. You know, we all say that, but we don't really mean it, because we will start our own little wars with neighbours, with family, with friends. And that really resonated with me and made me think about, you know, my perspective on that. It's also a film as well which you can see the misery unfolding on screen, and can I say voyeuristic? You know, people do like to watch, well I do, I'll confess, you like to watch films to see other people in trouble and peril, because it's not you're watching it. you know, and you put yourself in their position. What would I do? What if this was happening to me? So it's a great film for that. It's I'd probably give it 3 stars, but yeah, if you can catch it, I think it's still on Mubi. Went under the radar for me until it popped up on Mubi, but yeah, would finally recommend it. The next film I saw was yet another recommendation from YouTuber Into The Blu, a film called The Congress from 2013, which to rental on Cinema Paradiso again, try before you buy, and yes, I will buy this one again. Directed by Ari Foreman, who is an Israeli guy who directed Waltz with Bashir, which I haven't seen, an animated movie. It's got Robin Wright in the movie, Harvey Keitel, Paul Giamatti, and Danny Huston. It is a stunning film, a film of 2 halves. I won't give too much away if I say the first half is live action, the second half is animation. It's beautifully shot, a stunning score, lots and lots of themes going on here: commercialism, restriction of freedom, motherhood. But most importantly, and obviously, it's a satire based on Hollywood bashing, or the machine of Hollywood. That's what it's really about. It's just a fascinating story. It's a hard watch. It's difficult. You really need to be on your wits, have your wits about you when you're watching it, just to unravel what's going on. And it reminded me a little bit, animation reminded me a little bit of Paprika, in that the animation style is kind of complex and crazy, and it really very quite surreal as well, heavily stylized, but it packs an emotional punch, I think, and it's got a real strong message. And I think that it was a very pretty brave movie really to make, by a filmmaker against Hollywood. I just don't understand why the movie doesn't get the attention and the cult status it deserves. And I think I must be missing something. And again, I when I watch these films, I don't read any other reviews until I've kind of watched it and done this YouTube video, my own take on it, so I can try and keep myself pure, so to speak, from outside influences of what the interpretation of the film is. So I'll go away and work out and find out why it has slipped under the radar. Then maybe there's a reason that I'm missing. But yeah, can't wait to pick it up on physical media somehow and look at all the extras and hopefully a director's commentary, maybe, who knows, and study it a little bit, because it definitely warrants that and definitely warrants your attention. So again, thanks, Carl. Another great pick. Probably in his top 5 crazy, weird films, I would think, but definitely one that you guys should check out if you haven't already. Then I watched yet another film on Mubi. This was The Celebration, or Festen, a Danish film from 1998, directed by Thomas Vinterberg, who also did the incredible film with Mads Mikkelsen, The Hunt. This movie is one of the early movies, part of the Dogme 95, Dogme being Danish word for dogma, Dogme 95 movement, which was co-founded with Thomas Vinterberg and Lars von Trier. And it's all about going back to bare bones cinematic making it cinematic movies, no special effects, no technology, so it's kind of a lot of handheld shaky cameras, and it kind of felt like I was watching a Safdie brothers film, like Uncut Gems, or Good Life, because the direction and the pace of the movie is very frenetic and very kind of guerrilla style almost, the way that the movie making, the film shot, the shooting is done. And it's kind of it's a film that is quite disorientating and as I say, very fast paced and very exciting to watch as it unfolds. But what's great about this film is that it's a heartbreaking tale of a seriously dysfunctional family. And I will not obviously talk about what happens, but when it unfolds, it's pretty pretty disturbing and quite heartbreaking. And you know, the film is also full of lots of dramatic sequences, some incredible marital arguments, for example, a lot of humor. It's sometimes hard to see what's going on. The film is made in a big kind of country manner, and a lot of scenes are filmed in the dark, so you're not quite sure what's going on sometimes, which is a bit of a shame. But that's because of the, you know, the lighting is very kind of natural, artificial. The acting is fantastic, and very gritty, and yeah, it's just like a real unseen gem to me. You know, amazing stuff, brilliant movie. Okay, so that's my part one. I'm going to be doing a part two, which I think will be full of East Asian films, actually, because I had like some reason I just watched a bunch of East Asian films together, so I'll do a separate video on that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Any ideas, interesting things you want me to do on the channel, let me know. If you want to see more of my Blu-rays collection, I can do that. But you know, to be honest, I think it's just fun for me to do it as a continuing watch list journey, and hopefully you'll you know, enjoying that. So I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and keep it real.